Hello, welcome to Producing in Pandemic, session 26. Welcome, welcome, welcome all. Let us gather in the main Zoom space. Thank you so much for screen sharing those communication agreements, Kholoud. So we're getting started on time today, and we might be a more intimate group, which might be for the best, because at a certain point we are going to fully leave this Zoom and go play in the Hop-Into platform. So we'll be beginning, as we always do, in that beautiful way. We're going to request that folks mute themselves as others are introducing themselves. So we're just going to introduce ourselves by saying who we are, where we're coming from, what are we working on right now, and what's a challenge or a discovery that happened this week. We always do a decolonized and accessible introduction, so please do a land acknowledgement. Let us know how this space can be more accessible to you, and if we don't need to know anything to make this space more accessible, you can just say all my access needs are met. I will model to begin. Hello, my name is Claudia Alick. I am the executive producer of Calling Up Justice, a transmedia social justice practice. And I am tired, y'all, because we just got done producing the Build convening, which was a 2-day gigantic convening that ended yesterday. Really grateful to have, thank you. It was just so joyful and so amazing. And I just love the ways this technology can help us to connect. Let's see, I'm speaking to you from the Bay Area, land of the Ohlone people. The people are still alive. Also in the vein of a decolonized greeting. In the United States, we have concentration camps. So a shout out to all of my enslaved and incarcerated brothers and sisters out there, past, present, and hopefully no more in the future. Let's see, I am, access check-in it's still smoky here. It's less smoky than it was, but it's still real smoky. So I'll be drinking lots of water, and, but it's a thing. It is a thing. Discovery that I made this week. I feel like I made so many discoveries. So perhaps I will end here. I might do a go back. If somebody says something, I'm just like, oh yeah, we discovered this amazing thing this week. I've been producing a lot this week. In the meantime, I would love to hear from you. What are you working on, producing in pandemic, challenges, discoveries? As always, we do a non-hierarchical flow. So I'm not gonna call on you, just stack. Just put your name in the chat. That will be the order that you're in, and you call on yourself. We like to give full agency to all of our participants. So you're just gonna call on yourself. All right, so I'm just going to mute myself, and whoever would like to begin, please go ahead.
I'll go ahead to give some time to folks to put their name in the chat. Hello, good morning, or good afternoon, actually is in my time. I am Kholoud Sawaf. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm speaking to you from Fayetteville, Arkansas, the ancestral homeland of the Osage, the Caddo, and the Quapaw people. And my access needs are met. This week, I am very much dealing with now I know what people say about Zoom fatigue, because I was doing curbside theater in physical space, and I was spending half of my day there and half of my day in Zoom. And now I'm like, oh my God, this is giving me the worst headaches. So this is what I am dealing with this week, the challenge, and I'm figuring out that I need to kind of schedule a no screen time every day to make sure I actually get that rest for my eyes and brain. That's where I am, and I'm passing it on to, there are no names in the chat, but I'm sure someone will go forward.
I'll go ahead so folks can take a moment to settle into the space. Tanya, they, them pronouns. I'll add that to my name here in a moment. Calling in today from Toronto, Dish with One Spoon Treaty Territory. The Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, the Petun have been the traditional keepers of this land and are still around. We had our 13th or 14th, I sort of lost track, production last night of the Toronto Poetry Slam featuring an amazing Indigenous two-spirit artist Ariel Twist from the East Coast. So that's one of the benefits of being able to conduct online things, is connecting more easily across wide physical spaces. So if you don't know Ariel Twist's work, check it out. She has a book out, Dissociate, Disintegrate, and another one coming soon, which we got to hear from. I'm still feeling curious about best practice. I've been helping out on a couple of shows. I was at a reading yesterday for Big Mouth Bass, supporting Ariella Wolf's production of that. Slams are available on the YouTube highlights, so youtube.com/Toronto Poetry Slam. But admittedly, I'm behind on putting all of those more recently up. Wonder what a backstage pass would look like. I'll have to think about that. Who am I passing to? Maybe that's been enough time for folks. Okay, I saw Rebecca put a hand up. Great to be here with her.
Sorry, it's Shireen. Sorry.
Oh, Shireen.
Oh, no, it's okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Shireen Azab. I use she, her pronouns. I'm calling in from Anishinaabe land, otherwise known as Detroit. Let's see. I am the co-director of Detroit-based ensemble A Host of People, and we have a lot going on. We have our first, in a while, our first core ensemble meeting this weekend, where we're gonna talk about a lot of juicy things I'm excited about, and getting excited about talking about the future, especially after being this weekend at Fool's Fury's Build From Here, all about the future of ensembles. So that is really exciting. A lot of discovery is actually from that we'll be continuing to talk about amongst our entire group. We're also partnering with an organization in Philadelphia called the Philadelphia Thing, on a project called Trade School, where artists from Detroit and Philly are gonna come together somehow. It was originally supposed to be an actual exchange where they're gonna come to Detroit and then we were gonna go to Philly, and we're working on what it looks like now. What does exchange look like now between the artists in the two cities? And we have, at least for the Philly artists and hopefully for the Detroit artists too, we'll do some virtual programming in December. And at the same time, we're supposed to open one of our shows with the Arab American National Museum this fall, which has been postponed, which is great. And now we're just sort of thinking about, if we postpone to the spring, we've started a design process and a development process. I think we're working on how to do design process that's both could we do option A that's outdoors? Could we do option B that's indoors, social distance? Could we do option C that's virtual, which has a little less heat with the design team at the moment? So we're in the conversations about all those things, and all those conversations are really totally interesting. So that's where I'm at, and I will pass it on out now to Rebecca. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Shireen, and congratulations to the Fool's Fury folks on the weekend. Right on. Rebecca Ennels, she, her pronouns, artistic director of SF Shakes, San Francisco Shakespeare Festival. I am on Ramaytush Ohlone land, colonially known as the San Francisco Peninsula, and it is super smoky here on the mountain today. I think our AQI is over 200, so I'm definitely feeling it in the throat and the sinuses and all of that. So there's a lot of kind of trying to clear out. I'm praying for the onshore breezes right now. This week, so this is not so much from this week, but last weekend, Labor Day weekend, we had a record heat wave, we had a horrible AQI, and we had 3 performances planned for King Lear. And we had rolling power outages that forced us to end at intermission both Saturday and Monday. So that was just kind of our reality of not thinking that climate was necessarily going to infect indoor performance. And of course it does, completely does, right? At the beginning of the season, we were like, oh, this is so great because we don't have to worry about heat waves. We did. So we totally revised our heat policy, which was very outdoor based. We moved it to an indoor based heat policy. We sent every actor a thermometer for their house because we couldn't tell without being there, like what they were experiencing. And we had the outdoor heat, but that was impossible to tell what the indoor heat was. So we sent everyone that, we sent everyone more ice packs, we sent everyone Gatorade powder. And again, that was too late to really take care of it last weekend, but we'll take care of it in the future. So there was a big kind of like, this is something we ought to have thought of, and that we very confidently went, oh, this is so great, because we don't have to deal with it. On the plus side, had we been performing live in the park outdoors, we would have had to cancel approximately a month's worth of shows. So losing the stream halfway through 2 performances was better than that. And we did have people come back and watch the second half regularly, and they would let us know in the chat, hey, I got to see the first half, it was great, I'm here for the second half now. So we feel like we're taking care of our folks, and that's good, and people are still getting to see the show. But as was a couple weeks ago when the SF Shakes team was here, all the things you think and you assume, you should not assume. And that just like all the learning is constant. The growth mindset is necessary. We do not know, and we must remain flexible and in a learning space. So that's me passing it on to Mickey.
Good morning. I am Mickey Goldhaber, Artistic Director of Rye Cripps Disabled Women's Theater and lead instigator of the Bay Area Women's Theater Festival, and a playwright and director and theater maker of many kinds, getting very, I use she, her pronouns. I'm here in Berkeley on Ohlone land, which is very, very smoky, terrible AQI, and big household here that we're all just trying to stay inside and stay safe. And and our poor chickens are out in the smoke, but they're still laying eggs, those great little chickens. The exciting thing that I found out at the very sort of low tech end of the spectrum, but is that a group of local actors are getting together just informally once a week on Zoom and reading plays to each other, so that for the delight of reading plays and acting and getting to do that. And that got me really excited, because some of the Bay Area's greatest actors are involved in this. So of course I said, hey, you guys want to read my play? And they said, sure. So I'm so sorry I didn't attend Build. I wanted to, but I spent the weekend writing a new scene for the Lady Scribblers so that I can arrange a reading with this group in the coming weeks. And I'm not sure if it will be public. It's like they're a big group and they sort of do it for each other. But I'll keep folks posted. And Jim Carpenter is the ringleader of this wonderful group. And I've sat in on a couple readings, and it's, even though it's the simplest of Zoom boxes, it's really magic. So, and they are now excited about the idea of possibly inviting playwrights to submit. So I'll keep folks posted. Thank you. And I am going to turn off my camera and make my breakfast. And last week that was really tough, that I couldn't get into anything. And I'm on my phone again, so I'll just do my best.
I believe it is me next. Hi, everybody. Buenos días, buenas tardes. I am Carlos Alexis Cruz. My pronouns, I put él, ellos, acknowledging my Latinx heritage first and foremost, and then he and him. I'm calling in from the land of the Catawba and Shigari people, Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm also full-on Puerto Rican. So also bringing the Taino heritage forward. Let me see, my access needs are met, but as I say always in these calls, I have kids schooling at home. So, sometimes I get distracted with some screaming action in the hallways. I guess is the name of the game right now, but we're staying and doing our thing, and, let's see where we go from there. Let's see, challenge or discoveries. I emailed Claudia and Deborah. I was so disappointed. I missed the events this weekend. And then because I don't know how that escaped my calendar, you know, even though I had it earmarked all along, and it didn't just appear in my feed, you know, over the weekend in social media for whatever reason. But then after the email, I discovered that it's actually on Facebook. So I've been binge watching like little by little, like just like going through all the sessions, which maybe that's also part of the advantages of producing in these times. If you cannot catch up, you can literally start scheduling the things that you want to watch after the fact. So I guess as a, you know, we know that all along is good to, you know, we do that with Netflix or whatever format you do. We can also do that to hear conversations that are meaningful this time. And, you know, I was hearing Danny's and you know, that presentation and Claudia that you guys did as part of the festival over the weekend was the thing that I went to bed last night, so that, you know. So yeah. So there's that. And also I started teaching this past week, and, you know, I've been all along thinking at the university how weird it is for everybody and for the students to be teaching. I teach physical theater. So like, you know, the intro class is okay. The more advanced class, the students were already thinking, should we postpone it until we can be in person and whatnot? But I think there were some nice discoveries about how the actors impact the space as soon as the actors walk in. Is a premise on physical theater, and understanding the space, even in the field that we can see in the camera, there's a lot to do there. So we did a bunch of discoveries, which actually got them energized and is kind of now the base for our course. So, you know, and it's also interesting, like we said here, when we're teaching, my voice and my persona is going through all these spaces. So we are now talking about kind of three potential spaces: the one that you stand in, or all the ones that are the others around, and the one that lives in between. So also thinking how the actor kind of floats in that. It's a conversation that sort of like came out of that studio class this past week. So yeah, all of that. And I think that's what I have to say for now. I am gonna pass it along to Lawrence, I believe.
Awesome, thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Lawrence. He, him, his. I'm calling in from the ancestral homes of the Ohlone people, specifically the Chochenyo tribe. I am also calling in from the I'm exhausted, y'all. Let me back up. Calling in from the Chochenyo Ohlone land, otherwise known by its colonized land. I do this feel all the time, and I just escape my brain. Calling in from the colonized name of Oakland, California. I always try to make a point to name that the land that I am on is colonized, and I'm using its colonial name. I am the marketing director and communications director of Fool's Fury Theater. And then my access needs are met. Though it is smoky, my window is open because I've been keeping it closed because, as you know, in the Bay Area in Oakland, it's just ashy and smoky as hell. But I gotta breathe somehow. So, you know, trying to figure out, do I die inside, or do I keep the window open and also die from the smoke outside? I don't know. So it's kind of like which is the lesser of two evils in the moment, right? And right now I'm picking somewhat fresh air. A challenge and discovery I found this week. We did the thing. We produced. We did a whole multi-platform thing. It was really fun. It was cool. You know, when you're doing broadcasts or doing any technology, it's really interesting to produce something when you're not physically there with people, especially a broadcast. Like coming into this, I was like, oh yeah, I've like, I haven't done a broadcast on this scale, but I've done like internet live stream broadcasts before. But that was because I was physically in the same space as someone. I'd be able to like see their thing and be like, cool. But when your broadcast operator is in a different space than you, it's really challenging. You got to place a lot of trust and really, really have to communicate like on the spot, because once something goes wrong, and you know, eventually something can go wrong. We're like, well, you just gotta figure out how to roll with the punches. So something that's I found out this week was like, you know, you trust your team and know that if something does go wrong, we'll have to figure it out in the moment, like any other theater show, right? But that's the challenge because the live I took for granted how important it is to be in one space together when you're coordinating, and how easy that is when you're all, even like in theater, like backstage you're on comms, but you are in the same space. So like you can just literally, like, if you needed to pull someone, you can be like, hey, I need you here. But but that's not the case when you're in different spaces and different time zones. You're like, hey, calling, texting, like, something's wrong, come, like, give me a call right now, or I need you on the Discord, unmute yourself because, like, we need to figure this out. But yeah, otherwise, you know, I'm feeling exhausted and energized at the same time, which is a weird dichotomy. Passing it on to Rebecca P.
Yes, thank you. Hi, I'm Rebecca Pingree. She, her, hers. I'm here on Chochenyo Ohlone land, commonly known as Berkeley, California. My access needs are met. I'm definitely, as all the other beautiful Bay Area folks have been saying, I can really hear it in my voice today. The smoke, even though I have not been outside, like, I've been really exposing myself very little, but the ventilation right outside I live in kind of a basement, and I have an air purifier that I've turned off right now because it's very noisy. But right when I walk outside my door, it's like, what is the barbecue today? There's a mystery, not food barbecue today, and it's always, that's the new normal now. But I had the most amazing week. Last night, I finally did the sneak peek of the San Francisco Fringe with the company that I co-founded, Analog Theater, and we found out on Wednesday or Thursday, that it was going to be produced via StreamYard, and that it wasn't actually going to be a Zoom show. And we have tons of experience with Zoom, all of us. So we were like, oh, we've never even heard of that. So in part because of how much I kind of felt get up and go from having attended these and experimented with various things that are possible through here. We were all just like, well, let's try it. Let's see what this is. And we had maybe a 20-minute tech process with the festival. And we were just like, yeah, we're gonna need to figure this out. And so we all just got on StreamYard and started experimenting. And it's definitely, I'm sure many people here are more familiar than I was, but it's very limited in a lot of ways, but it was also really inspiring to be very limited and to work within that structure, and then be like, oh, we can move okay, well, I can move you and this, and experimenting with this space. And so we did the show last night of basically only about a week of devising a piece virtually. And the show itself had every technical difficulty imaginable, but not ours, because we had done this. And so that just felt amazing. And then I woke up this morning to a reminder that the proposal for my incubator virtual showcase that happens in November is due today. So I'm so excited to get off this meeting and write that. Anyway. And after me is Heather. Passing to Heather.
Hi, everyone. Heather, she, her pronouns, zooming also from Chochenyo Ohlone land, colonially known as Berkeley, also fresh from being an audience member of the Fool's Fury amazing weekend. Content was incredible. To echo Shireen, so many discoveries and things that I wasn't even expecting. All of the financial stuff was really just so useful and inspiring to think about new models, how to fund theater. I mean, just taking this time where things are on pause and things are being rebuilt to think about, can we make things in a different way so we aren't working in this. I'm trying to make the triangle, not the heart, but also just a small but big discovery was the platform, which Claudia told me Lorenz was a big part of spearheading that everything was on Hopin, which was my first time participating on that platform, and it was great. I mean, I'm sure we'll hear maybe some of the backstory of what was going on. I mean, there were some problems, some bugs within Hopin, but as an audience member, I loved the flexibility and the ability to go from place to place and just being in one spot for the most part. Okay, I will pass it to Robin.
Hey, thanks so much, Heather. I am Robin Gron, she, her, hers, speaking on Miwok, coastal Miwok and Ohlone lands in colonially known as Mill Valley. Access needs are just exhaustion, and I have to admit I wasn't able to garner energy to do much of anything this weekend. So that is it. I will pass it on to the next person, if there is.
It can be me. It can be me. Hello, everybody. Before I get started, I'm Danny Bank, by the way. I'm gonna read Sabrina Hamilton's intro because she can't join via camera or voice. Sabrina, her, joining you from, oh my God, Pocumtuck/Nipmuc lands, now known as Western Massachusetts, can't join with camera or voice because she's masked at a car repair place, otherwise fully with you. Would love to hear more about Hopin after build this weekend. So that's Sabrina's intro. I'm Danny Bay, she, her, hers. Oh gosh. On a land of the Ohlone people in the Bay Area. Calling Up Justice, administrative producer. No challenges or discoveries in transmedia performance this week. That's it. Excited to be here. Excited to see what there is to learn from today. That's it. Bye.
Vitu, are you with us? Do you want to introduce? I ask like this because Vitu is an amazing director and joined the build convening yesterday, and there were sound issues.
Yes. I'm here, Claudia. I'm just gonna not turn my camera on because I'm, I'm barely sentient, to be honest, but I think, but I'm here in, occupied Ohlone territory in San Francisco. Build was fantastic, was very inspiring for me. And so I just wanted to stay connected with people, and I'll mostly listen to folks today.
Thank you so much for joining us. Just giving a moment. Have we all had a chance to say hi, hello, this is where I'm coming from? You beautiful collection of human beings. We run a relaxed meeting, so be off camera, be on camera, and to a certain extent, there's no need to even let us know because our baseline level is you participate at your own comfort level and at the level of your accessibility. Also, so I'm just gonna do a quick shout out for some of the things I heard in the intros. Climate change impacting the digital producing. Oh my gosh, that's real, that's gigantic, and possibly we're gonna wanna spend some time in another session, really talking about how the digital producing world can give you the impression that it's existing in a magic cloud that doesn't exist in the real world. And it makes you forget that all of these real world impact things that we keep talking about they impact the arts. So climate change, all of this stuff is very important. And it's amazing to hear how you were able to provide heat support for your actors remotely. But also thank you for sharing that the decision, the thought train that took, the discovery of that's amazing. Access is an ongoing issue. So when you do your access intro at the top, I should say this out loud. I sometimes do, but I don't think I do it all the time. But the invitation is say something at the top, but you're always invited to say something later, because access needs are not static. And that's a piece of ableist culture, to think that your access needs are, once you say that they're met forever, and don't you dare say anything else. Big gigantic shout out for asynchronous accessibility. I was the one who interrupted Tanya's amazing intro to be like in the chat, can I get to the poetry slam asynchronously? Because I missed it and I really wanted to see that poet and that art. But also let's just do an acknowledgement that asynchronous accessibility is additional labor. So like the act of these sessions being on YouTube, that's labor, that's downloading, that's uploading, sometimes it's a little bit of editing. So just shout out for that labor. But also gratitude for it, because that's how I see everything. Thank you for making your work asynchronously accessible. Also, I'll just name that asynchronous accessibility is something that capitalist society resists, because it's hard to monetize that stuff. So these are things to think about: liveness and asynchronicity and monetization. Shout out to Lorenz talking about the difficulties and complications of remote management. That might also want to be a full session as we talk about what are all of the different strategies that we've used to collaborate from a distance. I know that for Build, I believe we were using every communication thing you could use. And I was one of the jerks where I was the MC, right? So I muted all of the communication devices. I muted the Discord, I muted the text message, I muted everything so that I could be an MC and not have those sounds. Then I didn't unmute them. So then how's the tech team supposed to let me know that they need me to go into the backstage to answer a question? So I look forward to us having that conversation. But I have to say, though, I've just been so incredibly impressed by the innovative techniques people are doing. But the most efficient technology is being in person with each other. That's the truth. A gigantic funny piece. I almost had us do a StreamYard tutorial today. Almost. I went into it and I decided that partially because of the issue that Michaela had, I realized if I wanted to invite us all to go play in StreamYard, I needed to give you a week to download it, make sure it was actually on your device properly so you could really join us and play with all the bells and whistles. But Calling Up Justice has a StreamYard account and we will be playing in it in the near future if you'd like to, again, experiment and find out what that can offer to you. Because it does have some exciting possibilities, although it is limited, I think, creatively in some ways. But it does give some connectivity possibilities that are cool. And then the last observation is, only the smartest person would be like, I'm so tired, I'm beyond sentience. I'm like, yes, of course. That this group of incredibly smart, amazing folks are like, yes, beyond sentience, I love it. So our agenda for the day, we have about an hour. Lawrence is very generously going to give us a tour of Hopin 2. Now, we are not doing a build convening presentation. The team was gigantic. It was a multi-platform. It was, I think we used like 7 different platforms. We used a lot of different ways to allow audience members to participate using Padlet, using Mentimeter, using Hopin 2, using Zoom. So there will be a more, and also we got this amazing new plugin from OBS that completely replaced the Restream thing that I was using. So we no longer had to use Restream and we could use this OBS plugin that was free and doesn't require a monthly thing. So we will be doing a full presentation on that with Kadar, who was our OBS operator. We might even invite some folks from HowlRound, maybe Thea might join us, so we can just really talk about the complications of multi-platform, multi-stream engagement. But while we're paying for the Hoppin' too, we're so excited to allow us all to go play in it. Before we go to that, I recognize that at least Michaela might not be able to fully engage in the Hoppin' 2 platform via a cell phone. I have not tested its capabilities in that way. So I would like to invite us to do our little breakout room exercise. And I'm going to send us off into breakout rooms to talk about this thing, and that is redundancy. Redundancy for resilience. One of the big discoveries, and this isn't a discovery, but this was oh yes, this keeps being true. So it was a confirmation, a reconfirmation that redundancies in your design in times of crisis and in times of chaos, utterly necessary. Now, what does that mean? In acting, I guess that's an understudy. In leadership, is that having shared leadership processes? In digital producing, is that having, like, for instance, the Hoppin' 2, we were streaming to 3 different spaces. So if one space failed, if the stream failed in Hoppin' 2, we could immediately tell the audience, just go to this website and you can see it on HowlRound. And then it was just a short hiccup. Does that feel like an interesting conversation to go off and have for 5 or 10 minutes and then come back and share sharings? And actually, wait a second, let me give myself a moment. We're a smallish group. What are your instincts? I like small groups because that allows us to go 3 or 4 people at a time. What do you think? Do you want to just chat here on the subject or go off into breakout groups? I'm seeing like sign language of, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Yeah, all right, let's stay in here then. As much as I love the breakout groups, it does mean that I don't get to hear your individual awesome stories, and I'm greedy and I want to hear them. And I think we're a small enough group that we can actually manage that. So let's have a conversation about redundancies for resilience and how we are putting that into our design, how we have put that into our design and had success, or ways that we now think we might need to be thinking about it. That is the invitation. Whoever wants to jump on that, please go right ahead. Yeah, go right ahead.
This is because of what I just mentioned about having to, so for our 2 power outages, each one was a different actor whose community, like entire neighborhood, lost power. So we weren't able to put anybody in quickly because in the OBS layering, there's no way to have someone to step in and read. It would just throw off the entire way that the images appear on the screen. So, but we do have redundancy in our OBS management. So if our technical director, Neil, goes offline, if he crashes, then Pratikshya jumps in and takes over and she's able to run it. So that we did have a contingency that we built in and started training her very early to be able to do that. So, and also if he fails, when she takes over, she can immediately put up a technical difficulty slide while she gets sorted out. And then and she has had to do that a couple times, but he's been able to get back before we needed her to take over completely. But I have been thinking about the understudy thing in the OBS layering. If there's that other actor, I mean, the amount of learning, especially in what we're doing with Lear, the amount of learning blocking would be insane for like 1 or 2 understudies to hover around and wait to have to take over. But it is quite an interesting question in terms of, I've been thinking, like, how are understudies useful in this format? We have some, but what can they actually realistically do in terms of, you can't throw them on stage with book in hand and have the rest of the actors just kind of show them where to go. And I've been that understudy, and I know that that it's fine. You just kind of get through it, but you can't do that in an OBS layered situation. Obviously, in a Zoom play, you could absolutely do that. So yeah, just things to think about for the future.
Can I ask just a follow-up question? So in the tech setup for SF Shakes Lear, there's Neil. He's in a space by himself with all the technical setup, running the entire show. Then there's somebody else who has the exact same setup in a completely different building or space.
In a different county. Yes.
Oh, all right. That's redundancy. All right.
Yeah. So she's in her home in South San Jose, and he's in Oakland. So they are totally on different grids. So if there was a power outage in Oakland, it would you know, in a rolling blackout situation, I mean, who knows, but the hope is that we're less likely to also affect her. So yeah, we had our outages, there was one in Alameda, and then there was one in Oakland, but they were very neighborhood specific, but they did last for hours. So we are writing processes and policies as we go, kind of like that indoor heat policy. We also wrote a policy as we went on, like, when an actor loses power, we put a bot in, so we were able to put in somebody's iPad to cover, like, it was Diana, you met her a couple weeks ago. We put a bot in to cover her place. She wasn't in the next two scenes, so we could get to intermission with a bot in that spot on OBS. And then we got ourselves to intermission. We all got backstage on Zoom in intermission. We checked PG&E's website. We called PG&E. We were on the phone with Diana. We spent 15 minutes trying to figure out if there was anything we could do. We then were able to put up a brand new slide saying, audience, we're gonna hold for 5 because we're still missing an actor. And then we held for 5. We came to we agreed that we would always just, like, hold for 5 or 10 extra. That would be our maximum rather than make people sit forever. We got the message from PG&E that the power was expected to be out until 8 p.m., which would have been, 8 p.m. So it would have been too late for us to, never mind. It was 1 a.m. on that night. It was 8 p.m. the other day on Monday. So to 1 a.m. So we knew there was nothing that was going to happen in time for the show to complete. So then the other thing we decided was that that there would always be a staff member would go live on the stream and thank everyone and make sure everyone knew when the next performances were, because then it feels like an in-person experience, right? We're so sorry, this is what happened, and we give them the details. We actually had an audience member in the chat who also lived in Alameda, who also was experiencing a power outage, but watching on his phone at the same time. And he jumped in, he went outside, he looked around the neighborhood. It was all beautiful because it was community, right? So we had redundancy in the audience of someone helping us, which is really cool. And we were just like, oh, awesome, thanks, Sam. Okay, so how far away does it look like there's lights? So we were in there in the chat, particularly was engaged with him. And then we just decided to call, but people were so great. And then they told us when they came back, they said, we're here to see the second half. So then Diana suggested, well, we would also be really cool if we added to that policy that we would do a little mini green screen curtain call just for that, up to the point that we'd gotten, just to thank the audience. So we've added that to the policy of there would be some way of, like, closure. Otherwise it's really abrupt. So there'd be a speech, it's live, and then a closure bow with who could do it. And then we would make sure that people knew when the next shows were and that they got emails about that. So again, it seems we were making it up in the moment, but enough redundancy meant that at least we could do it with some grace and some gratitude, as opposed to just like, and done, stream is gone, nobody knows what happened. So that's again, this is all getting written down. Like, in the future, we know what to do, so we don't have to, like, make it up again. It's a thing.
But I want to have a look at your policies, though, because I'm fascinated by how do you produce in the reality of knowing that there might be inconsistent power, inconsistent access to safe conditions. This is important, interesting work. I love it. Also, you just dropped really casually that an actor had their power outage and you just replaced them with a bot. Is that what you just said?
So it's called a bot, but what it is it's an additional device that can be held up to a green screen. So our stage manager owns an iPad, and so she can sit and we use this in rehearsals. So we knew how to do it, because if an actor wanted to not be in rehearsal because they had, like, nothing to do that day on screen, but we need all the cameras to be on, we would replace them with this iPad. Like, a couple people had iPads. I think it's like 2 crew members have iPads. So we set them up with the green screen and the camera on, but nobody needs to be on it. It's just in that 15-person Zoom, what we call the Zoom order, the order that gets pulled in the layers for OBS. Those bots can cover a human being who has nothing to do or say. So Diana had a bot covering her place in the Zoom order while she was not there. So we just threw that up. And luckily, because we did it in rehearsal, the stage manager, like, immediately knows to do that. So we did have to hold for a second while she got the bot going, but it was just a second. Like, it was like, hold, technical difficulties, and then we have the silly slide that's got silly Shakespeare on it, and then we hold, and then we get the bot.
Thank you for giving more detail. I will admit, in my imagination, I had decided it was just like one of those Twitter bots. I follow a lot of Twitter bots, and we have full-on conversations. So This is also reminding me of the We Charge Genocide TV. When we did our first broadcast June 1st, we realized that some of our members were actively protesting. We'd said yes to a lot of folks, but again, it was the conditions of chaos. So we made sure to have video backup for each live performer. And in the middle of the show, we ended up losing. Leroy Moore was there for the first half of the show, and then something happened. Leroy disappeared, and we were able to use the video. That was the exact same thing that he was going to do, and that was useful because it helped us to keep the show going, maintain his presence. It still felt live because he'd been in the show, in the chat, so it still felt like a live presencing, even though it was an asynchronous video presencing because of interrupted signal. What other stories do we have around redundancies, finding ways to use replicative or redundant programming to get around these issues?
I'll jump in. I think that just to go off what you're saying, Claudia, yeah, we have for some of our shows for live feed that are happening before pandemic have had a backup of the recording of the thing that we would have been at live feed just in case the live feed didn't work, especially in Detroit where sometimes we're in found spaces and like what we're having access to either electricity wise or Wi-Fi wise or Ethernet wise can be spotty depending, or there'll be a leak in the roof and we need to all of a sudden not use that, part of the stage, which has happened. But I also wanted to throw in another sort of analog thing that we've done where before we're also in a space where we were really maxing out not just our power, but like our equipment for what we were doing with our video. We constantly had, it happened in rehearsals and once in performance where we just made Isadora, our video program, crash. And so we knew it was an option. And the most beautiful thing happened in rehearsal where one performer just started singing and all the other performers started joining in, and that became our plan B. Like if Isadora crashes and the video goes out, we go into song for about this much amount of time, which is how much we know it will take to reboot Isadora. And ever since then, we've always sort of had these moments. We've been doing this plan B as part of like we know we are people that totally push our tech to beyond what we have resources for, and so we have this plan B has been something we've been embedding throughout, but it came out of this original breaking into song. And I like those other analog ways of how do we disrupt with something that's still really beautiful while we're maybe doing the fix.
Carlos, I don't know if you'd feel comfortable sharing. I just know that in my collaboration with you, with Nouveau Sud, as you were planning your tour, there were several different iterations of that plan. And that feels like what we're talking about in terms of planning for contingency, creating multiple possibilities for an inconsistent future. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, totally. I guess we're still, every plan that we have, we were supposed, for example, to be at a We Are Hip Hop event here in Charlotte, not in October, that got moved to January. That's what they're saying. And it's interesting because they still want to have an October event, but to which we actually proposed in something in lines of what our plan for touring the new show is, which is doing a site-specific iteration that can be available via live stream or recorded and shared after. So I think our three plans as of now go as follows. I mean, a main stage production in whichever way, we can conceive that is a plan, that we strive for, or we'll put at the forefront just because that's what we're used to, I guess. But then the question that we had to answer for plan B and C is how a circus performance or a physical performance reads, functions, works in any other medium than live. Because part of the magic of acrobatics is that you see those bodies right in front of you being, accomplishing this incredible physical task. So, taking a page of what that movie was, what was it, Barnum, which I can say a lot of terrible things about it, but I'm not gonna go into that. The circus didn't read, you know, the circus in that movie doesn't read as circus. It reads as a commodity, is something else. It's not the emphasis of the movie too. So we can also probably talk about that. So now we began a process in which we're actually doing some training sessions and starting to choreograph things that are site specific. Just not just simply going to a park and do something, but also found spaces that people are related to in the normal kind of day-to-day basis. So when you see somebody flipping, you know, from a second floor to a first floor, you know, a la parkour and stuff like that, you understand the risk of that immediately. And you don't have to say much, and that kind of brings your heart to the point that happens in live performance in circus, right? So, you know, our exploration right now is doing a combination of that. I mean, I think even on a main stage production, the potential of actually having pre-recorded or live stream, you know, moments of circus, not only from our troupe, but also like from colleagues from across, you know, down the Mexican path for immigrants, which is the premise of our show, or any other places where there are other immigrants. So it's crossing borders with the digital and utilizing site specific, you know, so circus still live in a way that it should be, you know, or as close as we can through this camera realm. So, you know, I think we're started engaging in site-specific practice as a way of connecting our art form to people, and also like in ways in which we can either inform a main stage production and vice versa. And ultimately, if the show cannot tour as a main stage piece, we are, you know, working from that as a foundation to say, then what is a stream version of circus? You know, I don't think putting a camera in a main stage and record that without an audience, as I said, is gonna read. It's not gonna read as it's not gonna do what it's supposed to do. And we're using circus as vocabulary. Obviously, there is a story behind it, but you have to use that vocabulary to its maximum kind of reach to be able to read competent and good and professional and all of that, right? So I think there's a lot of excitement. I mean, I think people from Montreal, including the Montreal Complètement Festival, the Completely Circus Montreal Festival, doing some site-specific work. The Cetro de la Main, the Seven Fingers, are also pushing for that, which is crazy because I think we all found like site-specific circus in video is where we need to push the realm so that it kind of communicates more than just like, as I said, an empty space where we don't know. Then it becomes theatrical, film magic, which is good, but it's not what circus is. So, you know, I think the potential of streaming, you know, our site-specific version of our show with instances of colleagues from all over the world, but primarily from Latin America to the United States, is very real. It's a big possibility. We're looking at that more and more. That might be the angle that we might have to kind of push for. So I'll keep you all posted, but I think it's a level in which I guess contingencies are dictating the new future, right? And how they're not contingencies anymore, but more vocabularies that can inform the ultimate presentation. That you're working all in tangent as you develop something, and ultimately you choose to focus in one of the areas in whatever variable you need to kind of respond to, but you don't treat it as a second thing. You know, it's like when we taught our classes too here, you know, we went to online, it was like a sacrifice and nobody was really caring. We're actually putting a lot of thought in saying like, this is the world ahead and this is going to be part of the creation. And yeah, I hopefully that answered a little bit what you were asking and in conversation with this.
Well, because I'm always very curious. I've been chatting with so many artists as they're trying to, advising them on their season planning. And how do you do season planning when you don't know what the season, what the world will be? Like, how do you season plan if you don't know, if you know you have to be inside, but what if you're like, maybe we can be outside? So that was interesting. And I love, like, I feel like you just dropped something that like, it was an aesthetic bomb in my brain where I'm like, right. When I'm watching somebody on a stage, there's no context for what that is. But when I'm watching them like do that thing next to a building, it immediately gives me context. It immediately creates stakes and drama. And even if I'm not watching it happen live, I know that my breath goes, like I've watched some of those wild videos that they've done in Russia, where folks are like walking on the edge of a building. I'm like, oh yeah, there's There's incredible narrative tension in that. That's brilliant. All right, my colleagues, I want to make sure that we're giving time for this particular topic. Are there any other ideas, stories we'd like to share just around ways we've used redundancies to deal with the multiple chaotic contingencies that we're producing in right now? Lovely. As always, you have permission to interrupt me, but now it's time for us to check out the Hopin 2 platform. So I'm going to invite Lawrence to unmic. We might do a little bit of screen sharing, but this is for our asynchronous audience. I'm so sorry, there's a piece of this practice we will not be able to share with you because we are actually going to go all the way to the Hopin 2 platform. Here's the good news. We will be doing later a larger presentation on the full build platform, and so you'll be able to see some of that in there. But Lawrence, take it away.
Thank you, Claudia. I do want to say it is possible. I'm going to try to record what's happening in the Hopin through my computer through screen recording. Though I am not confident that the sound will be as good, but apologies for that. But just so that you have an idea of where we're going, just so that you don't lose that juicy piece of information. Like, I know if I was watching this in YouTube, I'd be like, oh man, I wish I can see that. So, when this airs, hopefully, if we have a recording, great. And if not, we'll, we might just throw in a link there. Just I'll look into the Hop and see if you can just see like a preview of what that looks like. But we'll see. That's how asynchronicity works, right? Cool. So I'm gonna screen share my my window right now. Just so before we head on over to Hopin, so you have an understanding of what I am talking about. So by now you should see my screen. So for a lot of folks who were there at the event, this would seem this is gonna be very familiar. So this is the front page of Hopin, and a little context of what Hopin is. Hopin is what they like to call themselves a digital venue, and what really Hopin is about. It's about mimicking that in-life conference / gathering experience, and the way it's built, it's really geared for any conferences, any conventions, any like multi-program festival-y type of thing. That is what Hopin is best used for. Though I'm sure like if someone wants to like do some hacks and do like we did like a combination at build Zoom and Hopin and other things, that's totally possible. But to keep it simple, if you're doing a conference, convention, or a festival, where you want people to kind of have that community, and that was for build, that was what's important for us, was to mimic that experience. So how I like to think of Hopin is, if you've ever used Eventbrite, if you've ever used Zoom, and if you've ever used like a kind of like a website, that is Hopin, right? Hopin is like part Eventbrite, part Zoom, or part video conference software, plus a website, all put together in one. So right here, going with that idea of a digital venue, the way I like to think of this is the registration page, right? Right now the event is live, so you won't see the tickets here, but this is what the front doors of the event. So right here, you'll see a description of the event. You will see who the partners are, and then a schedule. And I'll talk over this when we head over to the Hopin platform. And then there's a booth area. So we're gonna enter the event simply by clicking that. Oh,
thanks.
Oh.
No, you're fine. I just want to know, do you want me to log in so I'm inside it with you?
Oh yeah, that would be great. So you can see me in just so as we're demoing it, and then as folks can come in with us after. So the thing about Hopin, and the easiest way I like to think of Hopin is it's simply a website that has 5 different areas. That mimics kind of like, again, that conference experience, right? So the reception area is what I like to think of like the check-in table or the info, where it's just the first page that you'll see, where you'll check in, get all the information about the event, again, the schedule, and then on the right side right here is, if you've ever been in any chat room thing, it's just a regular chat, event chat right here. There's polls, and then you can see a list of people who are signed up for this event. One thing to note is that on this reception area, I like to think of it as kind of like the homepage. Whenever there's anything going live, there is a little pop-up box that pops up here that says this is happening. So for example, right now there's nothing happening on the stage area, but if there was something happening, if you on the reception page, there will be saying something on stage is happening now. So going back on this left side, there are 5 main areas. Like I said, this is a reception area. There's the stage, and this is where a lot of like, if the live main programming thing for Build, we did a broadcast through here. But there is a really cool feature of Hopin is that there's a backstage feature of Hopin, which we'll go to after this presentation, for you to get a feel of what that looks like. So you can actually stream through Hopin. You don't have to use OBS to do that. The reason why Build used OBS because we wanted to do something a little bit more complicated, but for like and wanted to do more graphic-based things. If you wanted to be able to do more like pro-level things, Hopin can do that. It's just a little, a little pricey, and it was like out of Fool's Free's budget to do that, So we decided to stream through OBS. The third section is the sessions area, and this is where the breakout rooms and like the group discussions will happen. A cool feature of and really kind of an organic way that was really cool about this area is that attendees can actually make their own session. All you have to do is click add session, and then anyone can just make a room, which is really cool if you wanted to start a group discussion. The next section is the networking feature, which I know some of you tried out. So Claudia, if you want to head over to the networking feature so folks can see what that looks like. It's possible we might not be able to match because we matched before when we were testing it out. But that's okay. So the networking feature is really kind of like what I call like the conference dating or like the conference Tinder or chat roulette of Hopin. And essentially like it matches you with anyone in the event. And you can set a time limit. Like, so let me just click ready. And I'm gonna say, give that. And if someone else was in this event or in the networking area with me, they'll pop up here and then we'll see each other and have a chat. And then you'll see a button that says connect. And just like, Tinder or any dating app, if you both decide that you like each other, your contact information will be shared. So that's like,
I'm in it. I think the algorithm doesn't want to reconnect us because we've already had several lovely chats.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, it's, I think, was it Heather or Vidus that said that the networking feature made it really equitable because you can meet everyone. So what it does is it kind of rotates you around all the people so you can have the maximum chance to meet everyone at the event, which is really cool, right? And I tried it for myself, and it was really great to be able to just chat with folks and see from their experience. And because if you're in a live experience, it's easy just to like come up to someone and say, hey, how's it going? Like you can do that too, right? If you go hear people, you can chat with anyone, but like you don't know who they are, they're just a name. This really enables you to have to kind of what I like that about this feature is that Hopin eliminates that awkwardness in digital space where you're like, you really want to talk to someone, but you're like if you're in a Zoom, like how do you talk to them, you know, individually, or how do you make those introductions, which is really, really hard. And this is kind of that way to remedy that. And then the last section is the expo area. There's several ways folks use this, and we use this as a way, kind of like our expo booth area, where like virtual tables or virtual booths. We had like Claudia said, we had a digital altar. I'll click into that right now, where we had a video that had our in memoriam video, and then a link, a button linking to our digital altar page. We have an info booth, and this is where like a lot of our moderators, you know, if there was anyone who was just like, hey, I don't know how to do this, we had someone staffing that. And then we had our partners have individual tables. And the cool thing about this is that there's 3 ways you can have a booth. You can have a slide or a pre-recorded video, or anyone who has that, who is assigned a booth or is a moderator, can access that booth and table. So for example, if I am here and I'm like, I'm an LMDA member, or an LMDA staff person, I can just share my audio and video if it will let me, and I'm there, and I'm here, and I can just be like waiting for people to show up, and you'll see on this booth where if people are joined, there'll be like someone join your booth, or there'll be names there, and this is really, you could keep, and this is the really cool part of the expo area, where I like to think it does mimic that. So Claudia is here. So like, for example, Claudia went up to my table, hi, you know?
I'd like to know about this booth. What do you do?
You
I
know?
see there's links over here where I can find out more.
And it's also, you know, it really depends how your event is designed. So it can be very casual or it can be very formal. For Build, we had a section, we had a segment where we told people to come here and meet folks. And it's really up to the folks to be able to do whatever they want with it, because it's pretty intuitive. You can have a, bye, thank you, Claudia. You can have a presentation, or you can just do that normal tabling experience. Yeah. What else should I say about this? Oh, another way I've seen the expo booth area is also like a marketplace, right? So if, for example, if you want to feature vendors, right, they can come here and showcase their products. So it's really, really cool. And I think I feel like the networking and expo area is really what I think sold me on Hopin, when I was like finding ways to find platforms for Build. Other than that, I know I went through that really fast.
Hey, Lawrence, this is Claudia. I invited you to a private conversation so we could show that feature as well.
Oh yeah, let's do that. So on the right side, oh, you know what, something I forgot to say is on the right side, your chat functions actually change based on your page. So if you're in the reception area, you'll just see the event chat room. But if you go to the stage area, you'll see that it breaks it down even further. There's a stage chat room, and then there's the event. That's the main chat room. And if you go to the sessions area, and if you go inside, let's say we're gonna go in that producing a pandemic session.
I literally made that for us to go play in. That's for us.
We can go then have a session chat. Networking doesn't have a chat, or maybe it does. It's the main. But I'm gonna go to this. You invited me to a chat.
Yeah, there should be like a little link or something.
Did you do Lawrence Angelo? You should do Fool's Fury. I'm under the Fool's Fury account.
Oh, you're in the Fool's Fury. I totally invited you, the individual Lawrence. I'll try again.
No worries. I haven't personally used the one-on-one video feature because I was running the event, but I hope people use it. I think I remember someone in the chat was like, how do I talk to people if I want to continue the conversation? There it is. I'm going to click that. And there is Claudia. And there's Claudia.
I don't see you though.
Oh, it's because I didn't share my audio video.
Are you coming?
Yeah, I'm going to come right now. Oh, she can't hear me. So right here.
Oh wait, am I?
I'll
yeah,
click share
I'm in the
audio
right
and
place.
video.
Where are you?
This is going to take a minute. There it is.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hey, it worked. Hello. Actually, we did end up using this yesterday. I was in the midst of doing a video chat with one of the members of Shireen's company, a host of
Amazing.
and their video connection froze. So on my end, I could fully hear them. I could see them moving.
Yeah.
It seemed fine from my end, but on their end, I was frozen and they couldn't hear me. And so they said very quickly, they said, oh no, I really wanted to talk to you. Oh, I know, I will use the chat function and I'm gonna private message you. So if you hear this, please check the messages. I hope you hear this. And then within 20 seconds, I was able to connect with Chris and it was fine. It was great.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm going to leave now and I'm going to end my screen share.
All right, goodbye.
And then we're going to head on over to the hop-in.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to end my screen.
And as you end your screen share, before we go over to the hop-in fully, we have an amazing opportunity. I'm realizing this is unique. We have a bunch of folks who are playing on the platform with us for the last 2 days and having a real user experience.
Yeah.
Do you have any reflections, not on the build convening, but just literally on the platform? How did it work for you? Did it feel intuitive? Did you feel like you were able to connect with folks? You've been dropping awesome stuff in the chat, so I love what Shireen typed. But yeah, let's just take a moment to reflect as audience members. How was it?
So this is Idun. I'll jump in. I got used to it. At first, I was a little annoyed by it, like logging in and blah, blah, blah. But then I just got used to it. And I think I'd rather liked it. I didn't figure out that in networking, I could, I didn't read all the instructions. So I was often like, just talking to people I didn't know. And it was never awkward because, I was interested in everyone, but I couldn't always meet people that I wanted to meet. But what I started doing is I started telling, we just meet the LMDA room and then we just try to meet there. So that really worked. And yeah, I couldn't meet the people I wanted to meet in networking. I did see that little video feature where I could invite someone to a conversation, but it felt, I wasn't sure if that was intrusive, so I didn't use it. But thank you. I think I could, I felt, pretty good about this platform overall, apart from, a few issues here and there. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think it was hard at the beginning because it was new, and I think that it was like a little nerve-wracking to be like, what happens when I go into the networking space? Like you're just like, you don't know, and so like after the first day of figuring it out, like, or not even the first day, like the first like session or whatever, it was like, okay, but I think it took a lot to like leap into the spaces, not knowing what happens after you press join or whatever the thing is, of being like, I've never done this before, what's gonna happen? And then like in the first one I was like, oh, this is like speed dating, this is so great. But like I didn't actually know until like we were texting on my collaborators, like, what's gonna happen? Or, okay, I'm going in, I don't know if I'll see you in there. And like, we were all like, had this collective nervousness, but then it was like, oh, this is awesome, this is so great. So like, what are the ways, like when you're introducing people to a new platform, like that you have to think about even like their nerves about clicking on stuff? I think that's really real.
Yes, I get really anxiety feelings whenever the computer asks me to give it permission to do anything on my computer. I am 100% convinced every single time that I'm going to say yes, and then my computer will have smoke coming out of it because I said yes to the wrong button, even though it's just making the microphone work. It's just making the camera work, and I've been doing this for 20 years, but every time. I also think about when I was producing in-person stuff, especially with marginalized audience members who were unfamiliar with my institution. I had in my brain, oh, I need to create a series of events over time to get them to my venue. I would produce outdoor events in front of the theater before I invited them to do an event that was inside the theater, because the threshold of the door meant something. It did something. I needed my audience members to feel confident about how to get to us. Like literally, how do you drive to us? Where do you park? How do you get from your car to the place? And so it meant producing a bunch of opportunities to have those discoveries so that when the big invite came, everybody knew the path and felt really confident about it. I'm now realizing that that's all incredibly necessary for these digital spaces because they're literally being built. Like Hopin 2 is fixing stuff and making changes as we're talking. So things are being invented as we talk. Any other reflections?
Thank you. I thank you for mentioning that, Shireen and Claudia, because one thing that I think what makes Hopin powerful, but also that fact that, you know, just a little context, Hopin, and I was having this conversation with Claudia, Hopin was not ready at all to be on the market. Their go-to-market was at the end of the year. They had a beta, and I was talking to the staff. They had a beta, and then the pandemic hit, and they were like, "Wow!" And everyone was going to Zoom, and they were like, "Wow, this platform is needed more than ever because everyone's going to Zoom, and and people are so frustrated." I was like, "Hey, this is thing that we've been doing even before the pandemic because we saw how important it was to be in community in digital spaces," and they kind of just was like, "Here it is." And they've been, you know, I was in a demo and I was like, you know, I get it. You are just, you rolled it out and now you are just growing too fast for what you are able to do. So there's a lot of growing pains with Hopin, which is, you know, a very, very typical tech startup narrative. But my hope is that once they kind of figured out the kinks and like everything, like, you know, I'm just interested what this platform will become in the future. Like I said, like I was telling Claudia, right now we have the early access plan, which is very limited in its functionality. And I don't want to say the price to like what there's the enterprise plan, but for small organizations, and the thing is like Hopin is really for the enterprise plan is like not geared towards like the small.
Yeah, let's be transparent. We can talk about it. Their enterprise plan is the cost of renting a small building.
Yeah, that's what it's
$18,000
a year. Is what their plan is. $18,000 a year. It's not geared towards the small nonprofit or small organizations. What is the enterprise plan is definitely geared towards the large conference, large agencies who are doing these events, right? Like for Google or for like any, like those are big things, like, you know, or the Moscone Center. Like, and the way I really like think of it is like, if this is a building, if you are producing a conference, this is the building. And like any conference, you have to think about design, program design, and just how you like inform people. They just gave you the rooms to do it. And it's up to you how you design the rooms and how you like give that experience. And that's all that is. But yeah, when I was looking, I was like, oh man, hence why we did OBS, because what I had hoped was to be able to do everything in Hopin. I was like, well, we can't really afford $18,000 a year, which is that $18,000 a year gets you like, and you can look this up, but it gets you like live support, full customization, a team with Hopin, and I think full like branding and customization. But other than that, let's head over to Hopin, and if you have any there, we'll go. I'm gonna give you the link in the chat.
I will keep this Zoom session open until you feel like you have fully successfully made it into the Hopin 2 platform. Lawrence is dropping that link. You are going to have to log in. It's not that much. If you, I think I did a regular login because I'm trying to train myself out of doing the very fast and easy Google button or Facebook login, but it's only a couple of steps.
I'm gonna mute myself here because I can be in Zoom and hop in at the same time. I'm just gonna mute here so we don't get that.
And you will see my video, but you won't hear my audio in the Producing in Pandemic session in there. All right, I'm dual presencing. I've got 2 monitors. This is exciting. Try not to make feedback loops. Horrible, horrible sound feedback loops. All right, so you're muted fully. Okay, but the camera's on. And this computer is not muted, and you just heard me say that. Hi. And it's if your computer gets hot, if it can't handle the processing power of being in Zoom and Hopin 2 at the same time, fully leave this session. We're not going to come back here. The rest of the session is us being in Hopin 2 and playing on Hopin 2.
I do want to say it's possible if you are just working on one device that it'll kick you off the other device, like because you only have one webcam. I have 2. I have a laptop and I have a screen. That's why I can be in both places at once. So it's possible, like you should probably just leave the Zoom and come over the Hopin if you have only one device. All right.
Goodbye. It was wonderful hearing from you. You're an amazing group of human beings. You're building the future. Come on, you got this. Let's go play.
Are you guys in the reception area?
We are, both Lawrence and I are actually both in the sessions. But here's the beautiful thing. I think that I have the ability to go to this chat or go to the event chat and say hi to you. Hey, I see that Heather's in. Hello, Heather.
Hello.
Hello. I see Heather's like, I'm in.
But I don't see anyone else here.
That's because you're in the reception. Click on the sessions button on the side, and then there's going to be a session that says Producing in Pandemic, and that's
okay. Got it. Okay.
Hey, I see Danny's in. All right, join us in sessions. Join us in sessions on the left-hand menu. Boom. This is fun. Hey, Joan, so lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. We didn't have a chance for you to do your intro for the week. How's Producing in Pandemic happening in the St. Louis area? How y'all doing? How y'all faring?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. We've been working nonstop. We released our first, we dropped our first episode on Wednesday. It's fantastic. I'm going to send it to you.
Drop the links. Drop the links.
Drop the links. And we're also going to, we're co-producing a 50-state, 50 days dance event tomorrow with Luna Stage and the Dance Cartel. Sorry, I've been working. And we also shot 2 videos yesterday that were bilingual. One on the census and the other on voter registration for the Latinx community. We have been working pretty much nonstop. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I want to share one thing when you're talking about things going wrong. I was on the local NPR station on Thursday, and something happened with the transformer. And the host had to move everything out of the studio. I mean, we're talking about NPR. Had to move everything out of the studio, and she was broadcasting some pre-recorded stuff of interviews about our work, and I couldn't hear it. And so I just rolled with it. And when she had me back on, I said, well, you know, I work in the theater. Anything can happen. And, you know, and we actually had a great interview, and we wound up having more time because things had fallen apart. But we have to be flexible, right?
Yep. Well, I want to invite you, Joan, to click on that Hopin 2 link. It's probably going to invite you to log into the Hopin 2 platform. Come join us. We're about to play. I'm going to mute this machine and then go. Oh, I see everyone's in here. Everyone's in the session.
What Lorenz just sent, that one, Claudia?
Yeah, the Hopin 2 events build from here link.
Happy to join and wonderful to see you. Thank you. think I'm in.
Joan, are you having are you in the hop-in event now?
Sorry, Lorenz. I just clicked on Hop in Events, build from here. Did I click on the right thing?
Yes, you did.
All right, so I'm there. Well, should I click on it again?
Yeah, you want to be able, you want to create a profile. You want to register and then click event is live.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so you want to make a profile and then head over.
Okay, I don't see where to do that, but I don't want to take up people's time. I'm coming very late today because I was in
No
meeting.
worries. Yeah. But we'll, you know, when we get there, we'll have you join us.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm actually just looking at this. This is a wonderful list of things. I was shooting a video all day yesterday, so I'm just looking. That's okay. I can just watch right now. That would be fine, Lorenz. Oh, I see. How do I feel about the page next? No. Okay.
So that was pretty amazing. I need money.
I believe Claudia mentioned in the networking or in the hop-in that producing in pandemic is officially done for the day. So I think I'm co-host, so I will just wait until people are back.
Oh, wait.
Oh, there's Claudia. There you go.
Hey, I was chatting with you in the hop-in too, trying to say our producing in pandemic session is officially done. And we will look at the back end and explore the back end, the next gathering that we have, or the second to next gathering that we have. I kind of want to give Lawrence a full week off. But we will be doing a full build presentation so folks can get it. But please go off and keep producing in pandemic. Go back to your lives. Go back to the wonderful, awesome things you were doing. I've offered to hang out and hop into for the next 10 or 20 minutes if folks still want to check out any of the features. But for now, thank you so much, Lawrence, for allowing us to do this more intimate exploration of the platform before we do like a presentation of how we used it. And thank you all for joining us and sharing your knowledge. So deeply appreciated.
And just so folks know, I've kept it open, just if you are just, curious to just play around. I've kept it open until 1:30 today.
Oh, okay, excellent. All right, well, I'm gonna go play. I'm sending you all the good vibes. At this point, I'm going to hit stop on our recording, and I'm letting our audience know, I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to share any of this hop into stuff in this recording, but we will be in a following session having more footage.
All right, bye folks.
Bye.